Hello again, my name's John. I'm a retired cook from the northeast of England in the UK, and welcome to my latest video recipe. And in this one I'll show you how we make our irresistible orange cake. This was always one of our customers' favourite dessert puddings, especially in the cold winter months, served with silky smooth hot vanilla custard. It's quick, it's simple, and it's absolutely delicious. You can view the ingredients list and full written method for this recipe on the recipe page on the channel's website. I'll leave a link in the description under the video, or you can click on the eye icon top right of the screen to take you directly to the recipe page. I'd also like to thank my Patreon, PayPal and Super Thanks supporters for their very kind help in producing these tutorial videos. Your amazing financial support really helps with ever-increasing equipment, ingredient and editing software costs. I'll be giving you all a name splash and shout out a little later in the video. Okay, let's get on with today's recipe. I'll start the recipe by zesting and juicing the oranges. You can use an ordinary fine grater to zest your oranges, but I like to use my microplane grater. And this is the correct way of using it, by the way, so all of the zest conveniently stays in the confines of the plain sides until you need it. Try not to go too deep into the bitter white part of the rind. I'm using 1.5 of these medium-sized oranges for this recipe, but one large orange would be enough. Once you have your orange or oranges zested, you just need to squeeze the juice out of them. You don't need the fleshy part of the orange. Right, I'll set those aside for now. Before going any further, preheat your oven to 160 Celsius, that's 320 Fahrenheit or gas mark 3. Okay, on to mixing the cake batter. Now this is a very simple dessert cake to make. Start by adding your eggs to a large mixing bowl and give them a good whisk. Next, add your vanilla extract. Now this is my homemade vanilla extract. The next ingredient you probably don't have, so it's optional. It's my homemade orange and lemon extract. Check out my vanilla extract video on how to make them both. It's incredibly easy to do. I'll leave a link in the description box. Time to add the sugar. Next to go in is the oil. And it's the oil in this cake that makes this recipe very quick, reliable and foolproof to make. Now I'm using sunflower oil, but any neutral cooking oil will do the job for this recipe. Don't substitute the oil for butter. Using butter is an entirely different process. Now give that a good whisk until everything's combined. Time to add the dry ingredients. Add the baking powder and the salt to the flour. Now give that a quick mix. Now sift the flour into the bowl. Those little white bits are clumps of baking powder. Just push them through. Now I'm using self-raising flour, which already contains some baking powder, but if you're using plain or all-purpose flour, you need to add an extra 2 teaspoons of baking powder to the recipe. And all I have to do now is to push the orange zest from the microplane into the bowl. No mess, no fuss. And by the way, that's only 2/3 of the orange zest. I've kept the other third for the icing or frosting that goes on top of the cake. Now give that a good whisk until you have a nice smooth batter. Okay, that's nice and smooth now. In real time that only took about a minute. And I hope you agree there's been nothing difficult so far. Now you can use any baking tin or pan you like for this recipe, but I like to use these square baking trays for this dessert cake. Even though this is a non-stick tray, it's always best to grease and line the bottom with parchment paper. Now carefully scrape the batter into the tin using a spatula. And make sure you get as much as possible out of the bowl. Give the tin a couple of firm taps on the table to lift and pop any large air bubbles. Now get it into the preheated oven and set your timer for 35 minutes. How easy was that? And while that's baking, I hope you don't mind if I give my 3 recipe books a little plug. The books have lots of our favourite recipes from our work kitchens in them. All 3 books are available in the website shop along with lots of other equipment I use in the videos. And by popular demand, the skeleton style oven gloves are now available too. Just click on the eye icon top right of your screen and that'll take you to the website shop where all of these items are available now. And there's a nice clean time lapse of the cake rising. It's fascinating to see the cake rise so quickly. Okay, time's up. Using a cocktail stick to test it. And it's come out nice and clean, which means the cake's done. And if there was any sticky batter on the cocktail stick, just give it an extra 5 minutes and test it again. Right, I'll get it out and onto a wire rack to cool for about 15 minutes. And while the cake's cooling, I'll make up the icing or frosting for the top of the cake. Add the icing or powdered sugar to a small bowl. And now add the other third of the orange zest. Next, add 2 teaspoons of your orange juice and give that a good mix. Add a little more juice if necessary. And this is the consistency you're looking for. Okay, I'll set that aside for now. Once your cake has cooled, run a thin bladed knife around the edges of the tin. Now tip the tin over and give it a gentle shake and the cake should pop straight out. Now carefully peel off the parchment paper and gently place it back into the tin. And this is a good time to portion the cake at this point. Don't press too hard with your knife because you don't want to damage the non-stick coating on your baking tin. Take your cocktail stick or wooden skewer and poke a few holes here and there all over the surface of the cake. This will help the juice soak in. Now take your orange juice and drizzle it all over the cake. Don't worry, the sponge will take this amount of orange juice no problem. And this does 2 things. First, obviously gives orange flavour to the cake. Second, it makes the cake incredibly moist, but without being soggy. Almost done. Now pour the orange icing over the top of the cake and gently spread it out all over the surface. This adds more of that wonderful orange flavour to the cake. Now let that sit and harden up a bit, about 30 minutes. Then when I come back, I'll have a little taste test of this amazing orange cake with a good drizzle of my homemade vanilla custard. Right, okay, it's time to try a piece. As you can see, the orange topping has set. And that sponge is very light and airy and has a wonderful texture to it. Okay, I'll pour a good helping of my homemade hot vanilla custard over it. I'll leave a link to this custard recipe in the description box below the video, or you can simply click on the eye icon top right of your screen and just look at how spongy that is. An ideal hot dessert for the cold winter months, and the kids love it too. And just as I knew it would be, full of orangey flavour, beautiful texture and absolutely delicious. You've got to try this one, guys. It's quick, easy to make and delicious. And you'll certainly get a big thumbs up from everyone who tries it. And as promised at the beginning of the video, here is the latest list of my Patreon, PayPal and Super Thank You button supporters. And they are David Wallace, Barbara Keys, Perry Garakins, Charles Etta Taylor, Heathen, Cameron Mott, Dylan Witz. I'm loving some of these handles, guys. Rab Linda, Prime Brit, Who Am I, Timotheus, Dan, Anne Hewlett, Andrea M. And there's also one young lady who wishes to remain anonymous. Thanks very much, guys. I really do appreciate all that you do in supporting the channel. Well, thank you again for watching. Please like, share, comment and subscribe by hitting the circle above. if you do subscribe, activate the bell icon next to the subscribe button on my channel page. And by doing that, you'll be automatically notified every time I upload a new video. And in the meantime, here's a few of my other videos and playlists that you may want to watch. So until the next time, be safe in your kitchen and bye for now.